Now today we continue our coverage of RT correspondent Kaylin Ford and photographer John Conway's arrest in Fort Benning, Georgia this past weekend after covering the School of America's Watch, also known as the SOAW, the protest that they hold there every year. Now most of the headlines of the other coverage reads Russian television network says that the TV crew was arrested by U.S. police. Well, they were in fact arrested. I mean, all the records in the video, they obviously prove this. But the more important question here is it getting more and more difficult for a journalist to do his or her job? Well, for more reaction, Alex Jones is talking to us from Austin, Texas. Alex, good to see you there. First of all, what do you make of what happened, and what does this say for freedom of the press here? I mean, there seems to be no distinction between journalists and activists when it came to these arrests.
Well, it's very frightening, and it's an attempt to chill free speech in this country. When I was at the RNC in New York in 2004, hundreds and hundreds of peaceful reporters, even with major publications, were arrested in huge dragnets and taken to an emergency FEMA center, Pier 57, and held against their will for days. And we've seen this expand with the free speech zones. I myself have been arrested as a member of the press. I've seen other press arrested, and they do the same thing. They say, move away from this area, even though you have a right to be there in front of the gates. Then once you've moved to where they want you to go, they still go ahead and arrest you. And they try to put very serious charges against people. And so that's why you don't see as many anti-war protesters or people on the streets of America, because the police have been caught in Denver at the DNC, this was in the Denver Post, hiring police provocateurs to go out and cause violence and then use it as an excuse to attack the peaceful protesters. So this is part of an ongoing program to persecute protesters and the press, and now they're trying to pass legislation where the Justice Department can shut down any website they want without a judge or jury. So tyranny is coming to the United States.
But you know, at this particular event, witnesses and other folks who were there say that the police were specifically targeting anybody who was trying to film, anybody with a camera. So you got a camera, you're going to be taken away. Is this a growing trend? I mean, targeting members of the press? You mentioned activists, but when you're there as a journalist, you're there on assignment. You're there to cover an event, not be a part of it.
No, absolutely. We know there have been cases now in at least 4 states where if someone's videotaping the police, whether it's a citizen or professional media, where they're arresting local news, national news, they're walking hundreds of yards towards people with cameras and arresting them and then charging them with eavesdropping. Now, a federal court and a state court has ruled that it's not eavesdropping because you're in a public place, there's no perception of privacy. But yes, they are targeting the 4th of state, the media, because they don't want the media to be able to capture what really happened to the other demonstrators, because they know the media is a serious check and balance against government tyranny. I mean, we know this from history. Any government that cracks down and tries to violate the press is a government that does not have the people's best interest at heart. And it's horrible to see a reporter arrested. And I noticed that she did even move when they told her to, even though she was on public property, not on the base. So this is just outrageous. And those police officers that did this at the behest of the military, they are stabbing our most cherished First Amendment in the heart. I mean, that's the First Amendment, the most important thing in our Bill of Rights.
And, you know, the other side to this, and I have to mention this, I spoke to journalist and author David Lindorf yesterday, and he wrote a really interesting article about the fact that now more than ever, you actually have police coming to certain protests and filming the people, so sort of turning the tables,
yes.
Sometimes outright, sometimes undercover. Why are they doing this? Because they say that they're not trying to intimidate anybody, but they're sending these files somewhere. I mean, where are they sending them?
Well, they're going to the threat fusion centers that are federalizing local communities. They admit they have the CIA in the local police departments, which is still a violation of federal law. It is a chilling effect. They come out and they videotape you, but then when you videotape them, they come and arrest you. So they're putting people in files. That's admitted. We have a secret police in this country that is beginning to eclipse what happened in East Germany under the feared Stasi, or during the worst days that Alexander Solzhenitsyn fought in Russia with the NKVD. I mean, this is classical tyranny, and this is an attempt to intimidate speech, and people need to stand up to Big Brother and say that we're not afraid, we know what you're doing is wrong, and we're going to keep this republic free, and it starts with the press. So people shouldn't be intimidated by the government surveillance. We're the good guys. We need to start surveilling them and covering what they're doing because we've got truth on our side.
And Kaylin also told me yesterday that there were undercover cops posing as activists. They were holding picket signs, and they were sort of part of the rally. So you have that aspect of it. You have the fact that the police are filming people. I mean, shouldn't there be more outrage about this? How come that aspect of it doesn't really make it into the news?
Well, because they want to keep people basically in the dark, that we have this political police unit, commissars, here in the United States, and that at the events I've been at, including at Fortune 500 many years ago in Austin, the police were dressed up like anarchists starting fights, and they've been caught in Canada. Mainstream news, RNCP admits they've done it. They've been caught in Denver. They've been caught in Seattle in '99. They've been caught in Greece. This is something that a lot of governments do, but NATO countries, the United States, Canada, always do it. And I would imagine if you study the RT footage you've got, that you'll notice that the government provocateurs, the police dressed up like activists, I'll bet they were the most boisterous trying to stir people up, because that's the modus operandi. That's what we've seen over and over again, is the ruling class trying to demonize, infiltrate, shut down demonstrators, people exercising their free speech and their activism, but also the media. And the system sees RT as a threat, and so that's why they clapped your reporter in irons, and that's why our corporate-controlled media tried to spin it like RT claims this happened, even though we all see the video and the police reports on record.
And we know you're passionate about this issue. The always outspoken radio host Alex Jones live there for us in Texas.
Thanks for having me.